All right, year 3 of the Bristol Dirt Race has wrapped, and Christoper Bell manages to hold off the whole field in the closing laps to get his first win of the season. As always, we are here for the speed. All right, guys, what's up? We are here for the speed. My name is DJ. I am the first one to talk and the voice that you get to listen to the entire time because I'm by myself. I'm just kidding. That would be boring just to listen to me talk about the race the whole time. I am joined by...
Oh, my name's Jake. Man, what an intro. All right.
Hey, I thought it was fun.
Next to me is...
I'm Nate, and I'm joined by...
Local Brad Keselowski fan, Matthew.
How did Brad do?
Yeah, it was a rough
God.
day. It's because he changed his name.
Hey, it looked like Coda out there.
Hey.
It was
Hey, you win some, you lose some. But this was a Brad Keselowski race, not a Brad Keselowski race. So
a bread.
His car said Brad Keselowski. They changed his name on the car.
They did not.
Yes.
Did they? Wait, they really
You're
did?
lying.
It says Brad Keselowski
How did I miss
on the
that?
side
That's
of the door.
honest. That's actually kind of funny.
That is super funny.
So it wasn't a Brad Keselowski day. It
Oh,
was
well
a
then.
Brad Keselowski.
Wait, so hold on. How did the points work?
It
then?
was his rookie race. It
No,
was his starting race.
That's what I'm saying. How do points work?
I don't know.
I don't think that's a real issue.
It probably isn't, but come
I'm
on,
still
just go with
confused.
it.
I'm still confused why the 9 says Elliott, not Barry.
At
Because
this
it's
point.
been a
Elliott's
few
car.
weeks. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, well, it's Brad's car too.
No, it's Bread's car. King Hawaiian's like, all right, let's take this sponsorship deal to the next level.
Right.
It worked.
I miss Chase Elliott.
Bro,
Yeah.
you know what? We were talking about that today. I really do, man. Or
A lot.
actually yesterday during the heats.
A lot of stuff has gone wrong since he hasn't been in the sport.
I'm gonna
I
be-
think
Yeah,
it's
but
a
he-
common denominator.
I'm gonna be
He's the
honest.
glue that's
I
holding
never
it
thought
together.
that I would miss his boring interviews, and like it's kind of nice, to see him out at the track and everything like that. So yeah, it
I'd be
definitely missed.
really curious to see if he comes back, if the TV numbers go right back to where they were.
That would be interesting.
That would be
it's-
like, okay, the Chase Elliott effect is definitely real. It'd be undeniable.
possible.
That'd be really weird.
I mean, that's kind of what people are blaming it on. Being short 9-10%, the Chase Elliott fans aren't tuning in.
Wow.
I mean, it could be.
I mean, he has his own museum in Dawsonville, so I don't deny it. I mean, there's a restaurant that rings a siren no matter what time it is when he wins a race.
Siren.
Siren
Okay, all right.
specifically. The siren.
Oh,
All
my
right.
gosh.
So awesome. So what'd you guys think of the race overall? Like, how do we? I think. Well, I know how you guys felt because we've been here hanging out watching it. But what do you think, Nate? What do you think?
It was enjoyable. It was my first dirt race.
Really?
But
Why?
yeah. Oh God, please stop.
Don't do it. You don't have to do it this time. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it was. I feel like I'm just gonna fall into it anyway. It was my first dirt race, but I really enjoyed it, man. It was a lot of seat clenching action. I picked Dylan in our fantasy league, so I was really going for Dylan. He
Did good.
He
He
had
showed
one
signs in the heat
He had a
races.
great car.
He was really fast in the heat races, and so I had high hopes.
I'd probably
but
say he was the most consistent over the entire day.
And yesterday.
From start to
You
finish.
count yesterday, too.
I think his lowest position throughout the entire race was 11th. And that was just through.
Really?
Yeah,
pretty
that's as
good.
low as he
We'll
got.
do a
was
top
11th
10
place.
rundown. I don't know
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he
We got a
finished,
top
but
10 on coming up.
But he was the most consistent for sure.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was the ending with the yellow flag was kind of a bummer. It's pretty deflating.
Yeah, but they had to.
No, I'm not knocking it. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to that situation. I just
They were going into 3 and Chastain's in the middle of 3. He was taking up 2 lanes.
Yeah.
I get
No,
it.
no,
I just
yeah.
wanted to agree. I just wanted what I saw last year. You know,
Yeah.
He
some
drove.
some epic slider in the last corner. See what happens. I mean, what I will say is the guy who deserved to win the race won the race. I mean, Bell led so many laps, dominated the end of the race, looked super strong. Probably wasn't the fastest guy, but was definitely the race winning deserving guy.
He
for sure.
showed even at the beginning of the race, like early, like he had a fast car. So I mean, yeah, I'm with you. He was probably the guy to beat for most of the day. You know, Larson obviously before he had his incident, was obviously a good looking car. But once he went back
what
into
happened
the,
with Larson?
I feel like once he got into dirty air, he couldn't
Well,
catch
I
back
mean, I
up.
don't know if there's dirty air on a dirt track. But
Oh,
once
it's
he
very
got-
dirty. It's dirt.
I mean, okay.
We couldn't
But-
see.
I just feel like it was like from maybe 7th, 8th on back. I mean, it was bro, it was
It was a wreck
wild.
fest. It was a wreck fest all day.
was
Beating
wild.
and banging. They were all over the place.
It was
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I think he got some damage and probably been a toe link when he got in the fence
Could
a
be.
little bit with somebody and then ran a little bit worse. Maybe got in the fence again, maybe got a little bit more damage, and then eventually just spun out, was just damaged and done.
Yeah, that made it really hard. So, all right. So let's do a quick, well, I say a quick, let's do a top 10 rundown on this race because it was pretty filled with all kinds, well, pretty filled. That doesn't even make sense. Filled with a lot of different drivers, people that we wouldn't necessarily expect. So obviously Christoper Bell gets his first win of the season. So now we've got yet another winner out there. That brings us to what I think 7 winners out of 8 races.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is this race number 8?
I think so. I can't look at the.
We have only
episodes.
one repeat winner so far,
Yeah,
Byron.
and that's it. So I mean, literally, it's been a new winner every single week. Otherwise,
Yeah.
So
which,
I mean,
which I feel is not bad for the sport.
no,
No,
I
it's
agree.
needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I mean, last year we were worried that there wasn't going to be enough play. Like you were going to have to a win was not going to guarantee you into the playoffs, and I think this year's shaping up to be even more so that way because I mean, we could very easily have more than 16 winners at this rate.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, I mean, that's going to make the postseason a little
And
interesting.
there's still a lot of drivers out there that are gonna get their win.
That's for sure.
Like
Oh, yeah.
Hamlin,
I mean, all the Joe Gibbs cars, except for Bell now.
pretty much.
Those-
Truex, I want to say Truex is gonna get a win this year.
Truex is going to get
Bowman
one.
I mean, he
hasn't
won the
got one.
Clash.
Elliott doesn't have a win because he's
That's true.
not been there. So you
Bowman
know,
doesn't have one.
Bowman's got to back into something. So I mean,
We need a T-shirt, so
Yep.
you know
Well,
it's coming.
those that tuned into the last podcast, I mean, I spoke a little bit on Hamlin, and like, look at him this race.
Oh, he was
Oh.
all over the place.
I could be wrong. Do we know what Hamlin's opinion is of the dirt race?
I haven't seen any.
I'm gonna
videos
say
of that.
probably not very.
Well, based
favorable.
off of today, yes, but
he did not finish good. I think he DNF last year too.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
about 21, but he didn't.
I
run
know there's
good
some
last year.
drivers that are like think it takes the sport backwards, which I completely disagree of. But anyway, going back to our top 10. So Seabell got his first win. Second place, Tyler Reddick. That's not a huge surprise to me. Obviously, big, known for being a dirt driver. Did really good at this track and would have won it last year.
Yeah, the last 3 years they've done the Dirt Bristol. He was 7th, 2nd, and 2nd.
Yeah,
So-
and he should have won last year. Like he got wrecked. I mean, he made the argument that he shouldn't
Shoulda,
have
woulda,
he
coulda.
shouldn't have let Briscoe get as close to him as he did. But either way you look at it, he was
Tyler Reddick's good.
he's a
at this
good
track.
he's a good driver, especially at dirt races.
Just back on our topic real quick. I just got a list of drivers that haven't won yet that are notable. Ross Chastain,
Oh yeah,
Kevin Harvick, Truex. Brad is probably likely to get one. We said Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric is in there, but he's kind of hit or miss.
has Austin Dillon hasn't won yet.
Nope. Ty Gibbs, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace won on a 1.5 miles last
Man.
year. Road courses, you have AJ Allmendinger hasn't won yet. Eric Jones won the Southern 500.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
mean, there-
lot of
Chase-
players.
Chase Elliott. I mean, I think we definitely get to 16 winners.
I think so.
I think so.
I think we're.
I
Gonna
think
hit
you're
it.
gonna have to win a race to be in the playoffs this year.
minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a requirement. So, yeah. So, going back to the second place, Tyler Reddick. Again, like we said, not much of a surprise there. Number 3, this one was a big surprise for I think a lot of us was Austin Dillon getting in
Yeah.
third place.
I mean, hats off to RCR because Kyle
Man.
Busch was really fast too until it's kind of the same thing. It seemed like he got in the fence hard a couple times and probably been a toe link and kind of probably ruined the skew of his race
Yeah,
car a little
I
bit
think
and
so.
kind of killed some of his corner speed. But yeah, hats off to RCR, man.
yeah, they looked really good. They were. I think Austin Dillon in general, just. I don't know. Is this maybe what we're seeing? Is this maybe now that Kyle's influence is kind of showing up with Austin? Maybe they're
I don't
improving,
know.
or is it just RCR is just finally turning a corner?
Well, there's no doubt Kyle Busch is going to come in there and help you identify where
Issues.
you're lacking. Coming from Gibbs, who probably lacks for nothing as far as R&D,
Yeah,
as far as people and technical. They're like a Hendrick or Stewart. I mean, they probably have most of the parts and pieces they need to be really fast. So Kyle Busch has incredible talent and knowledge that he's just going to pour into probably all areas of that race team, and especially Austin Dillon. And you got to know Austin Dillon sticking his neck out there trying to get Kyle Busch and kind of being the guy that started that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that probably did a lot of favors for Austin Dillon until he ran Kyle in the fence today. So
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah, that was interesting because I felt like there was several teammates that were not playing super nice today.
I wonder if that's because of how dusty and dirty it was. You just couldn't tell, man.
You didn't know if it was your teammate or not.
I mean, you just couldn't tell where you were for
Maybe.
real. I mean, these guys race within inches of a racing line at 200 miles an hour. I mean, so,
And you're on dirt and
and
sliding
now
around.
you can't see. I don't know. I mean, I don't think this starts any kind of trouble between them two or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good for Austin Dillon. I haven't heard from him since the Clash, so it's like.
I mean, Kyle Busch has definitely ran better than Austin Dillon this year.
Yeah.
So far.
And so to see Austin Dillon up there, running aggressively, running a great heat race, and just being up front.
Yeah.
And I mean, good. Hey, kudos to him, man.
Yeah. And then moving down to the next spot, fourth place, Stenhouse. Stenhouse Jr. comes in. I don't know how many people know with Stenhouse, if there's he has a dirt background, so I don't think that's really a huge, it's not a huge surprise that he ran, but he, definitely
he worked his way to the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Stenhouse, he played a smart game. He was able to work his way in and out of traffic, and he was able to hold his lines a lot better than some of the other drivers. And I mean, that just plays in part to his experience in the dirt field. So I'm not really surprised Stenhouse worked his way up there. He started 22nd and he finished 4th. Kudos to him, man. He needed a good day.
Yeah.
Good day. Keep his points up there. He's already got his win, so
and he was
play smart.
It wasn't like he just kind of got lucky there at the end or whatever. I mean, he was very consistent. He looked good while he was up there. I mean, he was able to hang with him all race. So yeah, I mean, definitely. That's one of the things I love about this next gen car is it's really kind of leveled that playing field, and you've gotten some of these smaller marker teams that have really been able to come up and do something.
Right.
Yes. Oh, okay. So moving on to the 5th position, Chase Briscoe. Now, Chase Briscoe, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that we actually had 2 of our guys actually go down there, got a chance to talk with Chase Briscoe when he was at an event and everything here locally. And he told us that this was a race he was looking forward to. And he did really good last year and obviously did pretty good this year. So, I mean, the thing is, I can't say I'm super surprised that he got 5th. I mean, at one point I think he was at one point in 2nd, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, he was up there. I think he would have possibly ran a little bit better if he didn't have that broken finger thing going on.
Yeah, that was something that I didn't even know about.
I can't imagine how
today.
bad it hurt during the race. He seemed like he was fine, but I mean, a little bit of discomfort after 4 hours of manhandling a steering wheel.
Especially
it's
going
gonna
over
happen.
them bumps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like you got a
Imagine
broken
how hard
finger.
you got to hold on to that wheel.
He made a comment that I think that he's having to go and have surgery
tomorrow. Yeah,
for it.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean,
I missed that. Wow.
yeah, they
He
were
said it
talking
right
about
after
it
the
before,
race.
or was it before the race or after the race?
I want to say it was after.
I don't remember, but yeah,
Maybe
the fact
both.
that it was I'm gonna have to go have surgery.
That's how much he wanted to race this race.
Yeah.
Hey, that's like a callback to the old school guys, man.
Right?
Racing with broken bones. We'll get it fixed on Monday. Let's go.
Yeah. Just tape it up. Tape it up. We'll be good.
How did he break it? Have you heard?
Snowboarding accident.
I was like, no way.
No, they said it was a non-race related activity. Don't know what that means, but
That can mean a lot of
it
things.
had nothing to do with his job. So I don't know.
That's okay.
No,
That's very
yeah.
cryptic. All right.
I don't know. They didn't say. They just said it was non-race related.
I know,
so-
it's just weird. All right, so moving on to number 6, Justin Haley.
Yeah,
Gets
I mean,
in.
shout out to them guys, man. Colleague Racing.
Yeah.
Good finish for them, man.
Needed.
That's good.
Needed,
Yeah.
needed.
Haley kind of surprised me. I didn't really put him as a dirt racer, but he ran good in his heats. Was fast and had a good finish
I think he
today.
has some dirt experience. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm getting him confused with Yaley. I'm sorry. Yaley is the one with the dirt experience. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I kind of expected this year that AJ Allmendinger would be doing better. And it seems to me that at least in the last few weeks, I feel like JJ Haley comes up more recently. Maybe that's
Justin
just me.
Haley.
Sorry, I told you I was getting confused.
You're so confused.
I'm so confused.
No, Justin Haley. He's
Justin Haley, yeah.
He's definitely stepping into his role in the Cup Series.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
doing really
so
well.
that's
Man,
great for them.
You finished 6th place in a Cup race. I mean, that's hats off to you.
I
Man.
mean,
and
yeah.
it's straight up. It wasn't like some crazy survival thing. That was a straight up. The end
I
of the last stage was there was some cautions, but the top 10 were pretty straight up.
For sure. 7th place, Martin Truex. So Truex, we haven't seen much,
Not
a
really
whole lot of
surprised
him.
there.
I am kind of surprised.
Really?
No, he won the truck race last year.
Oh, that's a good point.
Did he?
Yeah, he won the truck race last
Wow.
year.
But he didn't run good in the Cup.
No, he didn't. No, yeah.
Truex
I'm just not surprised. He's won
Truex
at
is
a
one of
dirt
those-
Bristol race before.
Truex is one
That's
of
a good
those
point.
that
That's a really good point.
he
Okay.
kind of strikes me as the one of the drivers that does not like the dirt. Like, no.
I get that vibe
Yeah.
too.
Where he's just like, nah, I don't like it. I'd rather be on a normal track doing our normal thing. But yeah, I mean, hey, he ran good for most of the day. I think he was ways back. He was like in the 20s, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean,
He ran kind of in the back, and then 3rd stage they got track position and held on to it and did a good job.
Yeah, did good. Moving on to 8th, Todd Gilliland.
That's another lower team that had a really good run.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to them guys, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides, I mean, that's just a great run,
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot
stayed out of trouble and
the thing is, almost all these guys, I don't think any of them was a last second thing. They were there for a while.
yeah.
It wasn't
No,
like it was
the
a
way
fluke.
the pit strategies worked out in the 3rd stage. I mean, track position was obviously pretty important, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously fast enough to hold their position when passing was definitely available. I mean,
Todd had a lot of damage too on his car. Like, I know it's not super aerodynamic, but he had parts of his car were missing. It was pretty bad.
weight savings.
Yeah.
He went for
That's what it was.
He went for that open
Yeah, it
wheeled
was
modified
open wheel.
kind of look. All right, moving on to number 9th, Kevin Harvick. Somebody we haven't really heard a whole lot about this year. Finally, sneaks in and gets himself in the top 10 and gets in 9th place. Kevin Harvick's pretty good at this at Bristol. He's done good here before.
Yeah, he's just so open about not liking dirt Bristol. I mean, hats off. He got a top 10 finish. I think that's all he could really ask for. I don't think he's really going to make too many more strides.
Well, this is his last dirt race, most likely.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
he hates it.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
He is-
I'm absolutely shocked how far he got.
I
in
feel
this one.
he is
I thought he was
defi-
going to park it.
yeah.
He'll be like, "No, I'm done."
He just goes and does like a couple laps and just says, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good." All right, so Harvick, moving on to the very last top 10. Ty Gibbs, baby Gibbs.
Another top 10 finish for. Remember,
Is that 3 in a row now?
I
Top
want to
10s?
say. I
I
mean,
think so.
that's not too shabby. He's kind of
No.
coming into the car, coming into the season, starting to get his feet stable. I don't know, his bearings.
Yeah,
something
getting his
like
bearings,
that.
yeah.
And he's starting to show up. It's good to see. It's good to see for Toyota for sure.
It's good for Toyota. It's good for Joe Gibbs, just because, man, they've been struggling. It feels like the beginning of this year. Like obviously Bell. I feel like Bell's been pretty good. Truex obviously did really good at the Clash, but then I don't know. I mean, Hamlin hasn't been bad. It's just I just feel like Gibbs has
He was
definitely
super
struggled.
like, I don't know. Hamlin was very hit or miss last year.
Is it the only thing is the issue that Hamlin or that Joe Gibbs is struggling, or is the issue that Hendricks is just dominating everything?
I think it has to go into the fact that Chevy is just so overpowered in a way.
Man, you
And
still think so?
yeah, I do. I still think Chevy's pretty overpowered. I think they
Toyota won
have-
today.
Yeah, I mean that's today. Look at the last few races. Toyota's
Yeah.
at what? I think 2 wins. Ford has 1, and Chevy has the rest.
You think it's an Arrow, or you think it? Well, I mean, is it Chevy or is it just?
I think it's louvers.
Oh my god!
It was sure not the tape.
Yeah.
No, I mean we made notice to it before when we were at Daytona. I mean, there's the whole front end of the Camaro is completely changed now from last year to this year.
Yeah, it's a lot less. There's a lot less depth kind of profile.
Yeah,
less
profile.
point.
There's
It's a lot more smooth in the front. There's no rigid edges, no places to catch air. Kind of.
right.
I thought it was gonna hurt him, but man, it really seems
No,
to
it
be.
seems to be working.
I think
But, I mean,
there was
but I
some
won't say
there's
not-
some engineer at Chevrolet that's like, bro, I got an idea.
If you flatten this thing off,
Right? He's like, look, what do we got to tell NASCAR to get them to let us redesign the front of this
It's
thing?
not modified.
It's not modified if we at Chevy do it. So-
It's technically the stock file.
we won't need any tape like the Toyotas.
If I make this totally smooth, yeah, tape is not needed.
Yeah. No, but I will say, I mean, they did a good job because the profile still looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it still looks like a Camaro. So I mean, that's the important
I
thing.
was just shocked when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, this is crazy."
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. So I don't know if that's what the issue is. I don't know if it's that just it feels like, maybe that's why it feels like Toyota and Ford are struggling. Is they're not really struggling. It's just Chevy is just dominant.
I still think
Yeah.
Ford's struggling
Well,
personally, but
Back to the Ty Gibbs thing, just to back this up a little bit. I know he's put a couple top tens together, and I guess that's good, but Coda, chaos. Dirt Bristol, like we said, if you're top 7, pretty good. Top 7 on back was pretty wild. So I don't know. I want to see him next week, Martinsville. If it's a pretty kind of, pretty straightforward race, if he gets a top 10, top 15, I'll jump on the bandwagon that he's making forward progress.
yeah. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say because the problem I think Ty Gibbs has, one, obviously he's got a lot riding on his shoulders. He's going into the 18 cars position. So, I mean, he's got a good team.
I mean, Kyle Busch went like almost winless besides Dirt Bristol for 2 years.
Well, he had
so-
2 engines blow up in the year that he happens to be leaving Joe Gibbs.
shocker.
Come on. Don't jump on that conspiracy.
I haven't seen
bandwagon.
any blown engines yet.
I mean, all I'm going to say
Yeah,
is
but Toyota's had an overheating problem last year.
they
I didn't see it
did.
this year.
They did. But,
Yeah.
Kyle Busch had an overheating
I was-
problem last year.
yeah, well, that was just because he just got frustrated. That wasn't the car. That was just him. So, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, hey, but, I mean, as far as the top 10s go for this week, man, super diverse. You got some big hitters in there. You got some guys that we're not used to seeing up there. Real quick before we move on to our next thing, like some of the drivers that wrecked out, you had Larson, Logano, some big names that, both, I say both. One of them won here. One of them, was almost sure to win the race. Larson looked awesome at the beginning of this race. So kind of sad to see Larson get wrecked out of a second one of these races.
Kyle Busch also DNF'd.
Did he
Did he
really?
really?
Yeah.
I didn't think
Oh, I
he'd
didn't know
DNF'd.
Yep. Well, you know why? Because the broadcast was under commercial with 22 laps to go. So
Yeah, that's a problem.
I don't even want to talk about it because I was just rage on him.
there was
The Fox broadcast today was lacking a lot.
I wish I could say, well, no, I've seen worse, but that's
Definitely.
that's not really a good thing.
Bro, like 10 to go. Like,
Well, no, it was 20,
why do we go side by side
it was
with
20
Christoper Bell's
I think it was-
girlfriend? No.
Oh, that yeah.
Or wife, excuse me, wife. But it's like, bro, I get that. Like, if it's like your first win or a critical playoff or a championship win,
yeah,
you want to show that emotion, bruh.
it's just
Race 8, 9 in the regular season, bruh. Show the freaking race.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
And
bro.
again, if you want to show her on the cool down lap and show her high five in
Yeah,
the team,
bro.
what cool. But yeah, I'm with you. Like
She was
right there.
stressing. I'm not gonna
Well,
She
I
was-
mean,
yeah, of course,
she
but
was
it's like
stressing.
yeah, but like
I was
get it.
stressing. I had him as my pick, and he was one of my only drivers left. So I mean, I felt like her, but still, no.
Yeah.
Like I'm with you. All right, so let's move on to another topic. Hendrick penalty is basically changed. Kaulig has their appeal, and Kaulig doesn't get the same treatment, it seems, for comparative to.
Yeah.
to
So for a little
Hendricks.
setup, I'm sure a lot of people read. I mean, it's a different
It's all
appeals
over.
panel. It's not the same. I really don't like it. It should have been the same appeals panel for the same penalty taking place on the same weekend.
Wasn't it on the same weekend? Is there like a specific reason why?
Well, I
it isn't?
meant the same weekend of the penalty was the same race.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't they be at the same time? Like the
Well,
appeal.
I don't know if you could do it the same day because it's a long process, but perhaps the next day, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't
still.
know. I don't. That's something like if you're gonna reach out, as Denny Hamlin said on his podcast, they kind of reach out and figure out who's available for the for the appeals process or whatever, and you're kind of getting feelers out there. Okay, we need you, but we need you for 2 days because we need to do this and we need to do this. It just needs to be consistent.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it was. In all honesty, I thought it was absolutely crazy. It was kind of a shit show.
Bro, that
I'm gonna
day,
be honest. Between Hamlin's appeal, everything on Twitter, Justin
This
Haley's
week,
appeal,
Twitter
like,
was nuts.
oh, it was insane.
it was all in
There's-
one day.
Yeah.
Because then you also had the Hendrick cars getting nailed for another penalty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It was a wild
NASCAR's
2
taking
days.
the last lap.
It
They
is
don't
wild. So let's take this one thing at a time, just so we can like actually talk
Yeah.
about one topic at a time, because there was a lot. So specifically, let's talk about Hendricks and the colleague one. So my issue with this is, okay, it was one louver on his car, right? On colleague's car, on Haley's
Yes,
car.
one louver.
Nobody would ever modify one louver.
I don't know. I'm kind of feeling different
Maybe?
about it because,
Really?
well, because obviously, so based off of Denny Hamlin's deal, NASCAR appeals first, or NASCAR presents 1st,
Mhm.
right? Isn't that what he said on his podcast?
I didn't listen to it, so
You listen to it, right? NASCAR presents first, and then you get the chance of rebuttal.
okay.
There's there's like a recess. You get to come back with your final point, and then NASCAR comes back with their final point. They get the final say. So it's a little, they go, you go, you go, they go. So
Okay.
NASCAR lays it all out, and then you get the chance to rebuttal. So NASCAR must have laid it out, and no matter what colleague said, I mean, how could you sit on the appeals panel? If they didn't cheat, you would rescind the penalty, but they must have been playing around.
I don't know.
I mean,
think
You
there
got to
was-
think about too. Hendrick Chad Knaus is a
Oh, he's a master.
manipulation of the rules, innovator, gray area master, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it, bro.
that's
He's
true.
he's incredible, right? And he has a ton of influence on all 4 cars and the respect probably of all 4 crew chiefs. So if they find something, they're going to implement it across all their cars. So colleagues say maybe the crew chiefs aren't on that same, if you do it, I'm going to do it. And I could
a good
see,
point,
say
yeah.
you're going around a corner, it could be more beneficial, say, to put it on the right side. Maybe it's more beneficial on the left side. You know?
Maybe if it dumps more air onto the spoiler, it slows that side of the car down just a little bit or something.
Maybe it reduces air off the spoiler.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe it packs air on the right quarter panel. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know without knowing what they were trying to do or whatever, but with them rescinding it after seeing all sides, I'm kind of going away from the argument of I don't think it was only because it was one, it wasn't legit.
I don't. Yeah,
Or
I
I
don't
should
know.
say colleagues.
I will say this. I don't know too much about the appeals process, but my issue is looking at this as a fan, which is what I am. As a fan, it makes no sense.
No.
And so either NASCAR, I think NASCAR either needs to be more transparent and say, hey, especially now that the appeals are over, and come out and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's why this one got overturned, or why the appeals panel overturned this, and their reasoning behind it, and here's why this one was only reduced by 25 points as opposed to pulling the whole thing back. Because right now, and I know this isn't necessarily the case, but it 100% feels like Hendricks got away with something because NASCAR likes Hendricks more. That's
Or
what
they
it
have a
feels.
better
That's
team.
what
I
it
mean,
seems
obviously
like.
it's not NASCAR because NASCAR was super
Correct.
disappointed in the
I
appeal
agree,
result.
but that's what it looks. That's
to an extent where they find them again.
Exactly.
We really don't like this.
So I will say NASCAR definitely got egg on their face this week, and it was a PR nightmare this week. But kudos to NASCAR for making the steps in the right direction.
Yes.
Confiscated parts, illegal parts, are now going to be put on display, which means NASCAR reporters, hopefully us if we get media clearance, will
Is anyone
report.
listening?
Yeah, please. That they'll report on this, so we'll know what it is. So boom, there's your transparency problem.
Yep. Totally a great step.
Yep. The second thing is they'll be able to disclose the hearings of the appeal process, the appeals hearing. That's great for transparency.
Yeah, very good.
And then the third thing that's super great is they changed the appeal ruling. So the appeal panel now has to change the penalty within the original confines of the rule,
Right.
or they can throw it out. So instead of saying, oh, well, you're going to get the money but no points, they're not going to be able to do that. You either throw the whole thing out or you make it fit within the rules of that specific penalty. So a lot of these penalties have, say, a $50,000 to $100,000 fine, somewhere in that range, depending on how egregious. Just for an example, I'm not saying anything particular because I don't know for sure on the penalties that they did, but that gives you the idea. They have to fit within the range.
Right.
They can't just say, oh, well, forget about money, only do points, or vice versa, or whatever. So that's good. It's going to clean that up a little bit.
I think so.
So, and I don't see NASCAR putting themselves in this position again because it was not a great week for them.
No, it was just, especially with everything going back and forth, it just didn't look good. And and I don't think it's their fault.
I don't think it's their fault. Sometimes you're not gonna even kind of imagine this situation until you're in it. Yeah. But kudos to them for making the right steps this week for it to be way better next time.
Agreed. Okay, so let's move on to the new penalty for Hendricks. We'll get to some of the other topics on that
the
we
quote unquote random cars taken for tech.
Well, okay, so here's that's the weird thing is it's like it's random, but
it's
I think
not
it's
random.
Not
it's
random.
Never random.
No,
never.
Well, it's like when Hamlin and Hamlin won, was it Michigan last year, or it was him and him and Kyle Busch. They got 1-2. I don't remember the race.
Pocono.
Was it Pocono?
The one where they got DQ'd?
Yeah, they got DQ'd. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like they randomly selected them. Like we know. Well, they checked the one.
No, so when you finish first and second get a full teardown. I believe third too. No. First and second.
First and second. Okay.
First, second, and a random car in the field get a full teardown at the track, and I found it at the track.
Well, so yeah, and they knew about. I think they knew about it from that situation. Yeah. From what I understood, they knew about that like ahead of time. They were like.
They had heard some rumblings, so they made sure to check underneath the wrap.
So it kind of reminds me of that, with that we have two of the random, Hendricks cars, and they're selected. So have we heard what it is in it all? Has there been any announcements?
It's a greenhouse somewhere near the windshield wiper box.
Okay.
Where the windshield wiper mounts. Huh. That's it. We probably won't know more until there's an appeal process. Which Hendricks said they won't appeal until after the weekend, but they need to.
So we'll probably
go to the race, deal with the race, study, figure out what happened, and then they'll decide if they're going to appeal or not. I'm going to say typically these penalties from the R&D Center come out on Wednesday. So if it came out on Thursday, I think NASCAR was looking pretty hard and taking their time.
Yeah. Is that because they're winning like crazy?
No, I think it's because they're pissed because Hendrick probably deserved that penalty and they didn't get it. Yeah, and I say that as a guy wearing a Hendrick hat right now. I'm trying to be as
Hendrick
unbiased.
Hat, Hendrick shirt.
Facts.
And an RGB pants.
Whatever. Oh. But everybody's gonna wonder what the heck you're talking about.
I know.
But
follow us on Twitter. We might send you a photo.
With Chad Canals and him like taking the forefront as competition director and all those comments 2 weeks ago. Man, I really feel it's hard to say they weren't operating the gray and or black area. So
it's Chad Canals
running as hard as they can.
I'm
seeing how far they can go.
I wouldn't be the least.
I mean, they basically won the lotto by not getting any points penalty. So
yeah.
It's the only thing that matters.
We'll learn some more. I think it's super interesting what it sounds like where they got hit, that greenhouse area, which to be clear, so that's the upper area of the center fuselage. So that's like your windshield, your window net, your roof,
basically
your rear
everything from the window lines up.
Right. So top of your door rail kind of up. So there's all kind of aero areas that you could play with there. Yeah. So could definitely see them.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll hopefully know this week.
I hope so. Yeah. I just don't like this not knowing part.
I get if they're appealing it because it is kind of a court system where you want to be. You don't want to expose your position of how you're going to defend it and or, not.
Well, and especially if it is in the gray area and it is a legal thing to modify and they figured out a secret and they don't want the other teams to know.
Right.
So, I don't mind waiting 2 or 3 weeks if the part eventually gets displayed.
Yeah.
In the open.
That'll be that. I'm really glad that they're doing that. I think that's a really good,
super cool
thing. So, all right. So moving on to something else, NASCAR team owners boycotting a meeting this week. Now, this is the quarterly or monthly meeting. One of the two.
I forget exactly. Yeah. This is a like innovations meeting where they look up or they talk about new ideas and innovations,
And
futures of the sport.
Literally every single team owner.
Except for one. One team did not.
Did they say who it was?
No.
That's interesting.
One team called into the meeting. I believe it's a
Small
virtual
team.
meeting.
Oh, virtual. Gotcha.
Yeah. So one team attended the meeting.
I mean, just
I'm not sure how much of a meeting it was, but
I was gonna say, I'm thinking it's like an actual in-person meeting. If it's a Zoom call, it's like, well, maybe they slept in.
yeah, but I mean, you still got to be there. You represent your team. You represent your sport, your cars, your drivers. I mean, these are non-negotiables, and for them not to be showing up to it, it speaks volumes to the sport. Like they
dangerous,
are
man.
not happy.
No,
yeah.
They are not happy with the way things are going.
I think
The cost of the cars, the cost of the tracks, everything.
I mean, Kenny Wallace said, remember they talked about the cars are going to cost, they estimate around $300,000 whatever, and Kenny Wallace is on the record on his podcast saying they cost $550,000.
that's crazy.
That's a lot of money, man.
$550,000 to make one of those cars. Like
And they tore up a lot of
a
stuff
ton
tonight.
of them.
yeah.
And I mean the teams. I mean, they're not getting that much anymore out of the weight races.
No,
out of
and
the pot, all
that's
that
one of the
stuff.
things
Like,
I've heard.
they're
That's
not- it's
the
not
main
the same game.
That's the main reason I think I've heard why they were boycotting is because of the collective bargaining agreement that they're still trying to negotiate, like how they're going to divide up all the different funds and stuff
yeah.
like that.
I mean,
I
they
don't know
basically
those
want a bigger
numbers.
piece of the pie.
Well, doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know.
What'll
It's-
be really interesting is Dale Jr. has a new podcast for when he's like on vacation.
Mhm.
It's still under the Dale Jr. umbrella in his specific podcast. It's not one of the other ones,
Mhm.
but it's the Business of Motorsports.
Is that the one with
Kelly Earnhardt.
Yeah, I saw that.
But they have Marcus Smith coming on,
Oh,
and
that's
that is a
gonna be good.
hot topic that they want to talk about. Is why do the tracks need the money that they get? The 60-something%
Because it's
from
it's
the
high.
TV revenue. Yeah. So that'd be really interesting because I don't know anything about it, but it seems like that's a lot of money and seems hard to justify. But he could come right out and be like, "Oh, X, Y, Z."
Yeah.
And
We-
it's like, oh, well, that all makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well,
And
never
then
mind.
you're like, "Okay, well now really, how do you give the teams more money?" I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is there, but so that's probably why I think that's what I've heard the rumblings I've heard has been that they're the reason for not going to that meeting. But yeah, they're definitely sending a message that they're not happy with NASCAR at the moment.
It's something to be concerned about, man. Because if they can't figure out a deal or they can't figure out how to
We could be talking
keep
about
all,
a
I
split.
mean, it could be
or-
a split.
Could be a split, man.
Could
That's
be a
happened
split.
in
Not
IndyCar.
too far
This is why
out of
NASCAR
range.
back in the day refused to allow any kind of drivers council, owners council,
Yep.
owners union, drivers, whatever you want to call it, throughout the history of NASCAR and the charter system, that was kind of a risk. It's going to be good for the team owners, but it's a risk because they could all come together. It gives them a united voice. So it's
Yep.
risky for NASCAR,
Yeah, I've heard that there's rumblings that they may try to do during the summer, kind of like an SRX style racing series, kind of on their own.
Yeah. Or with SRX.
Well, this would be like its own, just a separate thing. Like it'd be
Their
very
own
similar.
racing series.
Their
yep.
own one.
That'd be wild.
I mean,
I couldn't imagine.
cool. We get to see more racing, but like that, man. Last thing I want to see is
I
the
don't- I
sport
mean,
rip in half.
If that would be as popular as it was, you would see the XRX be way bigger because they have a bunch of great names already.
Yeah,
That's
They're
not going to work,
but they're
man.
pulling a lot of Cup guys this year alone. I mean, Brad's going to go over. Logano's going over. Elliott's going to do another race. Like, there's a lot of big names
there is.
that have.
I feel
Are
like they
gonna
had
re-go?
to because they switched to Thursday night, so that's obviously going to be a. It's not going to be as good as Saturday nights on TV, or it's going to be a struggle to get the same numbers.
Mhm.
So, but we'll see. I
Yeah.
hope it's great. I can't wait for it.
All right, so let's move on to our favorite section, our "I'm About It" section. So, for anybody listening for the first time,
About it or not.
will you let me finish my intro?
All right.
Jeez. In my intro, I was going to say that this section we talk about, we will ask a question and then we will say whether we're about it or we're not about it.
All right.
only reason I say that I'm about it section is because that's the name of it on my document. It doesn't
I'm
say
not about how you only name it the about it section.
I will try to edit. I will try to edit our Google Doc for next week, so that way I can make sure I say it. So all right. So the one that we're going to move to first is Hamlin's fine for intentionally wrecking Chastain into the wall is upheld in the appeal. Do either of you guys want to take this one first?
Yeah. So
are you about it or not about it?
Man, so I want to say I was about it last week when we were talking about it because we were talking briefly about it.
Yeah.
I'm actually not about it now for the fact that I listened to his quote unquote emergency podcast about the process.
Emergency.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, that's what he said. Dropping an emergency podcast. It was like at 9:00 at night.
In like the middle of the week.
Yeah, so I listened to it, and he had a lot of great points. I thought listening to it, he was very well structured. He had a lot of good talking points. He showed several situations of similar things going on with similar drivers doing the exact same thing, either saying or quoting they have done such actions in the heat of the moment, and nothing came about it. And now on the flip side, he comes back a day later on his podcast and says, yeah, I did what I did, and I didn't give him any room and I wasn't playing nice. And they fined him for it. And I'm like, okay, hold up. That's not consistent. So that's a problem, because there's been plenty of other drivers that have done the same thing. So not to go on a long tangent here, but listening to the podcast, he kind of swayed my judgment. I'm not about the fine. I think it should have been absolved.
Yeah, so for me, I'm kind of leaning to the about it, but not necessarily for the same reason. So my thing with it is, I agree with you. The consistency has been all over the place over these last the last month or so with these with the fines, the appeals, and stuff like that. It's very confusing. However, I mean, we have had drivers admit to intentionally doing things in the race, spinning out. Yeah. Bubba Wallace, everyone does it. Spins out and admits to it. He gets fined. Hamlin intentionally wrecked someone. There have been incidents where drivers have intentionally wrecked other drivers where they fined them. For different, obviously, comparing it exactly apples to apples isn't always the same, but nonetheless, these things have happened several times. So I think he should have been, because he did flat out admit it. NASCAR knows there's been a beef with these two drivers.
People have admitted it before. Right after the race, nothing. It's because he had a podcast. And he came out and said it on a podcast.
He bruised NASCAR's ego, and they didn't like it.
Oh, I 100% agree. Okay.
I want to know what NASCAR said, because they had to have had a very compelling argument.
So, I mean, according to Denny Hamlin's podcast, they basically they charged him on 3 things: intentionally wrecking, race manipulation, and actions detrimental to NASCAR. They basically
hold on.
Literally.
Yes.
Literally.
Wow, yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, yeah, he has so many of those penalties, actually.
Okay, continue.
So, of the first 2, intentionally wrecking and race manipulations, they basically dropped. And it was really just actions detrimental to racing. It's literally, he went on there.
Because he went, it was
said it on the podcast. Embellished it, not embellished it. According to him, according to Dan Hamlin, he embellished it or whatever. But
of course he said that.
Yeah. So,
okay. So I will also say, I think that he also embellished it to try to get people to listen to his podcast, which I don't blame him for, because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Of doing the podcast.
I think the only thing he embellished was he let go of the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really bad.
I think he kept talking about, my steering wheel's to the left more than any other time. I'm like, yeah, but where would that throttle at, though?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but that's the thing is,
but he had a lot of that data in the appeals progress. He had.
I was so shocked they didn't change it.
I'm shocked too. I was
super shocked
after what he said with his data, how he raced, how he was the slowest at any time during the race during that one corner, like how he tried to lift. Like, of course, he's trying to save his own butt, but I mean, he said he had the stats to prove it. And he showed it to him. Like,
that could be his opinion. I wonder if you watch from NASCAR's perspective, like, yeah, it was the slowest corner because he totally missed the apex, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
And once you hit another car, you slow down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see it from the other side.
I would. I'm very interested in seeing or ever hearing if NASCAR's side of it, because it had to have been a good argument.
It must have been. I mean, it was upheld. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
are you about it or not, Jake?
I'm so not about it.
Okay.
I'm
I'm on an island by myself.
Yeah, definitely. I want drivers to have the ability to speak their mind, and be able to say what they want to say. I mean, it happened on the track. If it was so egregious that it needed a penalty, I mean, I said this last week, then it should have been penalized in the race.
I
But
agree.
it wasn't
with that.
that egregious, but it's clearly a bruised ego for NASCAR, and I get it, man. If you're NASCAR, you don't want that crap, man. You can't let people just come in and just say
Protect your
whatever they
brand,
want.
man.
Yeah.
But
So-
I want Denny Hamlin to be in there like, you know what? He's been racing me like a dick, and I started racing him like a dick. Like,
Gave him no room.
yeah, man. I mean, I like it. He's the same thing he did at Pocono. I was going to take the lane, and it's up to Ross to lift. If he don't lift,
I don't know.
That's all
This
it
Sorry.
this incident's a little different because he basically ran into Ross's lane.
well, at least he didn't wreck but at least he didn't wreck a bunch of the field like he did at Pocono.
Yeah. So
But-
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the
I'm
other thing too
afraid
is
of what the ripple effect is
yeah,
to other drivers, because I want them to be able to say, yes, I'm frustrated. I adored him. I don't want them to be timid. Like, oh, no, I think the toe link was broke. Like, I just want, man, we need rivalries.
but
already
okay. So where's that line though? Because like at what point?
Kyle or Bubba Wallace right hooking Kyle Larson at, where was that? Michigan?
No, Vegas.
Vegas.
No.
It was
Texas.
it was one of the
Somewhere
first.
It was a
races.
fast track. He right hooked him. Super
I
dangerous.
think it was Vegas.
Heck no, man.
I think it was Vegas because Logano won it.
I don't remember.
That was his
But
win.
that
got him
like
into the
if you
Final
right
Four.
hook into the fence, nah, bruh. Nah, no way.
So
That's-
can you write that into the rule book somehow?
No, but it can be a ball and strike call.
'Cause
If you
that's
go
the
in the
problem.
corner,
if
and
you are
you're
Bubba Wallace and you right hook a driver into the wall, you will
no,
be
I mean if
suspended
you
for one
go
race.
in and you nudge a guy like the Denny Hamlin and JJ Yaley,
Oh yeah, that's
that should never be like,
No.
bro. JJ Yaley squeezed him, rubbed him, and Denny Hamlin gave him a little bump.
well, okay.
Sorry,
so
bro.
something else with this whole Ross and Denny thing. Okay, NASCAR has been going at because every time there was an incident, Hamlin always just like what was it? Worldwide Technologies arena where he literally blocked him for like the whole race,
Yeah.
like 4
Any
or 5
chance
times.
they're around him, Denny
And-
Hamlin's trying to make life miserable.
But see, the thing is NASCAR told him, "Hey, you've made your point. Stop." And he's like, "Nah," and he keeps doing it. So is NASCAR just like, "Okay, listen, we have given you warning after warning with this Ross incident, and you keep stirring the pot." And Ross still comes out ahead in every one of these events.
God, no.
I don't know how he does that.
Unreal.
It's just lucky.
Yeah. And
Look at the
so
watermelon.
I kind of the look of the watermelon. Oh my god. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That one's kind of tough for me. But yeah, I mean,
I just want drivers to be able to say what they want.
I agree.
man.
No, I agree.
I think,
do.
you know, when you go back to the old days of like Jeff Gordon and Earnhardt, I mean, they just spoke their mind. You know, and Dale Earnhardt had these amazing one-liners, you know? Like, I just
So-
want to see that stuff come back. Oh, I didn't mean to wreck him. I meant to rattle his cage. That's way better than, I think I broke a toe link and got loose.
So
Like,
is NASCAR mad that they
whatever.
did it on that he did it on his podcast and not on NASCAR's broadcast? So that way NASCAR
Nah,
could.
I don't
I don't know.
think so.
Hey, you know, that's
but
actually a good point.
but that would be a
'cause
lot of
Denny
drama
Hamlin
for
has-
NASCAR and viewership.
If
Denny
Denny
Hamlin
Hamlin
has
goes on
definitely
his
done that.
podcast and talks trash, it's good for NASCAR.
But
It's good
NASCAR
for
NASCAR
NASCAR.
can't monetize that.
It's true.
Yeah, they can. I mean, maybe not. Maybe
Le-
not.
legally
maybe
speaking.
not monetize. You could be right, but like, I mean,
There's been a lot of clips of Denny
I don't
Hamlin
know.
talking smack after a race, or Kyle Busch talking smack after a race in the moment. And they
any
got it.
publicity like this is good publicity.
Yeah. All right.
You know,
Let's move on to our next topic for the about it, not about it section. Happy now?
yes.
Okay. So it's been 3 years. We've been at Dirt Bristol now for 3 years. We've seen the last gen, whatever you want to call it, Generation 6 car. We've seen the next gen car on it for 2 races. What do we think? Are we about it? Not about it? I'm going to throw it to Jake first.
I'm about it, but I think I'm over it.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good race. There was wrecks. It was exciting. People spinning out, struggling for control, but my heart misses old Bristol, man. I mean, we don't have that many short tracks, and Bristol is so unique. There's nothing else like it in the world.
That is true.
You know, and we lost one of them. So attendance obviously wasn't great. So
We might get into that a little bit later.
yeah, I mean, I like it. I do like it. I enjoyed the race. I really enjoyed the race. But I think I'm ready to go back to old Bristol.
Matt?
I'm still about it. I'm still about Dirt Bristol. I thought this was going to be a big tell whether or not NASCAR, the sponsorships, the viewerships, all that kind of stuff plays hand in hand with Dirt Bristol rather than regular Bristol.
Yeah.
Spring regular Bristol, man, there was some real boring races. I'm gonna be honest. Some of them were really bad.
I think that's the car though.
It could
the old car, because I think this new car will be better.
It could have been, and I mean, it's so hard to
Especially
tell. I'd like to see regular Bristol in the spring, not on dirt. I'd still like to see it. I thought this race today was great.
I think
I
what
was
needs
very entertained the entire time. There were a lot of cautions. There was a lot of hiccups. There was a lot of beating and banging. I thought it was a lot of fun.
If they go back to concrete Bristol, they got to move it later in the year.
Yeah.
It's too cold. It just doesn't lay down rubber this early in the year.
Right.
So if they move it into, say, May, it may be better. I mean, there's a lot of tracks I think you could flip. You know what I mean? Obviously not Coke 600, but there's other tracks that are in hot areas that could probably swap weekends with this and let it get later into the summertime, let it lay down rubber and be a good day race. But, I mean, what was it, a couple years ago? It snowed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's too cold. Today was too cold.
Yeah.
If they ran on the concrete, it would have been too cold. The race might have struggled.
So it could be, and I don't want to get into the other reason why I think it might be a problem. So I'm about it. I enjoyed today's race. I enjoyed last year's race. I thought
they seem to be getting better.
There was a lot of good racing today. Like
Today's
lot of
racing
good racing.
Was phenomenal.
There was racing all over the track. There was racing for first and second and third. There was there was a ton racing for 7th to 12th. There was a ton going on in that range.
There was
all day. So I mean, I'm totally about it. Yes, losing a Bristol race is kind of rough. But I love the fact that we have a dirt race. Like I know some people are so against it and totally don't think it's a great idea, but why? I don't understand why that's the case. I don't get it. But I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't know what they do, though.
I want to see a dirt race.
Because the attendance did look bad.
Yeah, but it could be the weather.
It could be.
And no Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I mean.
And Easter Sunday, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But, I think you got some factors that are definitely not in your favor. And rain was in the forecast.
Uh-huh.
All, Friday and Saturday. So, I mean, there's some factors there that you're up against. I want to see a dirt race in NASCAR, maybe even 2. But
really, even 2?
I'm just back. I was super excited for Bristol all week. I was telling you guys, I was super excited for it. And like we said, the racing was the best I think it's been so far. Changing it to a night race, great idea, or an evening race. But
I'm telling you, they're getting better every year.
Yeah, I just want to see them go to a proper dirt track.
I
don't know if there's any venue that can facilitate a NASCAR race.
No.
The only Eldora maybe, and that
possibly.
That's probably the only one.
Yeah, but if you get in there and you know if you're gonna have a good crowd, you can put up temporary.
Stands.
There's no live pit stops. Yeah, temporary stands. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean that's the only one I could think of that has the facilities.
Drone was pretty fun.
True's drone was pretty cool.
Drone was super dope.
That was funny.
That was cool.
We were all trying to figure out how they were gonna do the choose cone.
Oh, we've talked about
we're gonna use a drone. I was like, what are they gonna do? Like a laser or something?
Yeah, dude, it'd be like a laser level, and it's like trying to adjust. So let's move on. So this is gonna be kind of weird. So we're gonna kind of combine our Kuzman question of the week. Yes, we named it after you because literally you're the only one asking questions right now. So for now, you're the
don't
you're the
stop either, Kuzman.
Yeah, we love it.
You ask great questions.
You actually, they make us think. So we're going to combine our question of the week with our last About It topic. So Ryan Kuzman on Twitter asked us, what are your opinions on running Easter weekend and the thoughts on this race being a Sunday night race instead of a Saturday night race? I would prefer them to be on the weekends, but since NASCAR feels the need to race, I wish they would do it on Saturday nights instead. So we're going to kind of combine this with racing on Easter Sunday. About it or not about it? I'll go first. So I will say that I'm not about it. Easter is a big family event for us. Actually, we've been hanging out with each other most of the day. There's a lot going on an Easter Sunday, and I would rather it not be one more thing to add to this. I'd rather it have been a Saturday night race as opposed to a Sunday night race, because especially now recording the podcast, here we are recording and we got to go to work tomorrow and we're up late, and stuff like that. I'd rather this be, anytime we don't have a holiday the next day, I'd rather run it late on that Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I'm not about it. I know these drivers don't like racing on Easter. They'd rather be with their families. A lot of these guys are younger now, have young kids. They want to be with their kids, hunting eggs and stuff. So I get that. So personally, I'm not about it. I'd rather them keep it on a Saturday, but I don't know. This is what I'm thinking. Matt.
Yeah. So I'm not about it for a lot of the same reasons. I think Easter is a big day to stay with family, celebrate at home, and I don't feel like they should be working. And I don't think everyone should be working. I mean, you gotta factor in all the pit crews, all the drivers, all the back end crew, the staff, the cleanup staff. There's a ton of people that have to go and work on Easter Sunday, and I don't think that's fair to them or their families when you have the option to do a Friday, Saturday, or a doubleheader Saturday.
Yeah,
makes no sense. Now, maybe they want to do it for TV ratings or stuff because they know everyone's going to be home on Easter night or something like that. No, bro. It's a family event. It's probably one of the most Christian-based events or sporting events that we have.
Yeah.
And they're working on Easter. No fun.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah, so mine is kind of depending on the TV ratings. If the TV ratings are good, and everything is kind of stepping up or really just better than what they've been all year, especially if it's better than spring Bristol concrete from years past, I'm about it. I'm definitely about it. I mean, college football plays on Thanksgiving Day. And they play games on New Year's Day. There's games on holidays all over. I mean, I don't think if the TV numbers are good, these dudes, these pit crews, they make bank. Sometimes I have to work holidays, so I'm about it. If it's, realistic for the sport to make money, and I think NASCAR does a good job. Bristol does a good job.
You just want to make money, man.
Nah, but it's got to be.
sad.
No, like my thing.
They got to sell sponsorship.
Yeah.
It's got to make sense. And if this is a really good TV day for them, then it makes sense. You have to run it. If you're a team guy, it sucks. Of course you want the day off, but if it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think like for me, I like I like consistency with schedules, just with rules, with everything when it comes to something like a sport. So I think it's like, for example, in football, you have games on Sunday, you have a Friday night game, you have a Thursday night game, like the days that are going to be happening, and hey, that's going to be a night game. Same thing with racing. I think I like knowing that. Or at least I like knowing. Ideally, in my perfect world, if it's a night race, it's on Saturday. If it's at its normal time on Sunday, a day race, so to speak, it's on Sunday. It's consistent. It's easy to remember. I don't have to think about, like, all week I've been like, wait, what time is the race? What, hold on. What is it? It's on Sunday. When does the actual race start? Because we're going.
I
with
like
this
the
week's
consistency we've had throughout the season so far.
So like with this race, because it's a dirt format, obviously it's a little different. That made it even, okay, when's the heat races? Okay, that's the day before or during the truck races. And I got to make sure I watch that. So it was just hard to follow. I feel like that's my biggest complaint.
But the racing was really good, and I like a special race every once in a while.
Oh, I have no.
We've lost practice and a lot of excitement for Super Speedway week. So this kind of gives us a little extra something.
Yeah, I would say honestly,
the heat races were great yesterday.
Okay, random thought.
Good. I won't say great. They were good. They were entertaining.
What if we just did heat races instead of qualifying and practice for all tracks?
Oh God.
Bro, that's fire.
No, I'm serious. Like,
Could you imagine heat races at Talladega?
Okay. Easy now.
Okay.
Hey, I'm just
Maybe
saying,
not all races.
Martinsville heat race.
Martinsville might work.
I don't know, man.
Bro.
They were
Okay.
wrecking
Okay.
everyone.
Well,
You,
okay,
you
do two.
qualify.
Do duels.
Qualify, impound qualifying. After you qualify, you run your heat race, impound it. You get a little fender damage, you get a little fender damage. Put it in the truck. Done. Race it tomorrow. Unless you totally wreck it. And if you do repair
So basically, we've turned every race into the duels.
Ah, perfect.
bro, that would be pretty
I mean-
fire. Not the duels. I like the 4 15-lap heat races.
Fight to the death.
That's pretty
Oh,
fire.
no, better yet, we make them all elimination rounds.
Oh, God.
So
Yeah, but
literally,
it is kinda-
after every lap, they have to one
Oh,
car has to
God.
pull off.
Okay, easy now. I will say the way they earn points in the heats is a little convoluted.
It
but
is very confusing.
I mean, I don't mind them running the dirt race like a more typical Saturday night dirt
Oh yeah,
show. You know, I like it. I like everything about this weekend. I just hate losing a concrete Bristol race just so
See,
much.
I liked everything about this weekend, but it's on Easter Sunday at 7.
and I just liked everything about this race except the whole incident. And by incident, I mean all my drivers wrecking for our
Yeah,
fantasy.
you had
league.
a rough week.
I had a rough
That's
week.
Well, we had a rough
Yeah.
week because we ended up with the same picks.
Me and Jake had very similar picks, and we literally, I had Logano and Larson, so they both wrecked out. But I got Bell, so at least I got
you
the win.
for the playoffs.
I feel like that meme from Ant-Man where it's like, yeah, so all my
Matt.
drivers wrecked, but I got the win.
Matt had a great week.
Oh, man.
Away with points. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
you did.
I'll probably jump.
You'll
first.
probably pass me this week.
I'm gonna make the numbers work to where I do.
God,
Since I
whatever.
picked the numbers.
I'm taking
Yeah.
back over on doing points.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so thanks, Ryan, for the question. I know we kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but in short, that's kind of what we're thinking there. So next week, moving on to our next week.
Can I go back real quick?
No,
No.
Wait,
thank you, Matt.
I do
Absolutely
not want to see
Mistiming.
2 Saturday night
Mistiming.
Bristol races. We already have a Saturday night Bristol race.
Okay, that's true.
I don't want to see 2.
Because then it's just a night race every time we go.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Saturday race.
No. I mean, a Friday truck race, Saturday cup race, that might hit. The truck numbers in Xfinity have been up
Yeah.
on TV. So
Oh, no,
maybe,
that
maybe
truck
that
race.
maybe that
Actually-
Xfinity, maybe that midday
What
Saturday
did,
window is pretty good.
Who said it? It was either Jeff Gluck or Bob Pockris. They said for the first time in history, I want to say the truck series, stage 1, 2, and the finish had the same first, second, and third for all 3. That's not a lot of movement. So Logano was in first.
Logano
second,
was
second.
disgustingly fast.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
And it did not transfer to the Cup Series.
Yeah.
He was disgustingly slow.
Yeah. No, I think you run on Sunday night if you're gonna run dirt. I mean, you don't really want Easter, but if the TV numbers are good, I mean, you kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
But if not, if you're gonna go back to concrete because this is the end of the contract.
Is it this year is the end?
Well, I don't know if it's a contract, but this is the end of the plan, the trial,
okay.
the trial. I mean, it could go. I mean,
Yeah, they
again,
can just extend it.
yeah. So it might be
See
a
how they
contract
don't.
with Fox.
This was a good race.
It really was.
It'll all depend on TV numbers. I
Yeah.
promise you.
I will say that I do have TV numbers from last week, and the Cup race was 2.3 million, Xfinity 847, IndyCar was 830, trucks 644, NHRA was 597, and F1 was 556. It was the lowest of all of them.
That's just the U.S. numbers, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's flip flopped, obviously, totally. And
All motorsports was down last week
yeah,
across the board.
Baseball's back.
It could be it.
Could be.
Yep.
But I mean, baseball's back this time last year. That's not a comparison to the week
Yeah,
before.
but they're
It's
not
a
playing
comparison.
the best season ever commercial anymore. So I mean, that's the game changer. This is not the best
You
season
can't have
ever.
the best season every year.
yeah, I mean they try.
The sequel.
Again, ditto last year. All right, so Martinsville, what are we excited for? Are we going to see Ross Chastain pull off a Hail Melon again?
I don't think you ever will again.
Nope.
No, of course not.
I think this will be a
We
really
get to see
good
the short
test.
track package again.
Yeah, they're supposed to be bringing a new tire.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'd be really good.
I hope it rains.
That would be.
Stop. I do not. I just want one normal short track. Just, you put dirt on one. You pretend Phoenix is one. Can we just have one normal one?
Let's just make Martinsville just a little wet.
Oh God.
It doesn't have to rain.
Next thing you know, Matt's going to be like, okay, what?
To have the
I
rain
want
tire
one of
out.
the tracks to have snow or be ice.
They almost started a snow series
Of course they almost did.
Give
in
it
the last
another
year.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'd watch it.
I would too.
I mean, rally racing is hilariously awesome. I say
Yeah.
hilarious, but it's awesome to watch. Like, it's so
All right,
much fun.
Going back to Martinsville, what are we expecting?
Oh, I don't know. You had me talking about ice and stuff.
Ice at Martinsville.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
looking forward to it. I mean, typically the spring Martinsville race isn't the craziest race, but
No.
the lack of respect and rough driving this year,
It's ramped up a lot.
and the
It was
like
really boring last year.
so
It was
many.
really bad last year.
Yeah, I mean that was all the short tracks really.
Yeah, but Martinsville was the first one where it's like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
It was the first race of the season where like, wow, I just wasted
NASCAR's
4
over
hours.
there. NASCAR's over there like, ooh, we got to fix this.
Yeah, because the mile and a halves were so good compared to the year before, and
Yeah.
then the short track was like, ee.
All right, we still got work to
Okay.
do.
I think, I mean, what we've seen from Coda, really hard cars to drive. Richmond seemed really hard. Good tire fall off.
Yeah.
Tough handling. Cars spinning out on their own. Like, good signs, man. I think we're going in the right direction. I do agree with Denny Hamlin and Door Bumper Clear that they have got to get rid of shifting. They have to just. I don't know if you have a different gearbox that only has 4 gears.
So last year's gearbox or the last car's gearbox?
Well, I mean, not an H pattern, but maybe it's sequential, but it only has 4 gears for short tracks. I mean, they have different. They have different gear ratios.
Yeah,
so
they
you just
could
make one
change
that's
it.
4 and just open it up a little bit and make it like similar to last year. Why not? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, they got to do something there. But I think they're definitely taking a bunch of steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
I think it's going to be good. With the new short track package, I'm really curious to see how that's going to affect Martinsville. Martinsville, I don't. How do I say this? Martinsville is not in my opinion, an aero dependent track. You know, the turns are very, very flat.
Last year it was.
Was it? Do you think so?
Oh yeah.
I'd have handling.
Yep.
But I think mechanical grip's almost more important here. Just
It
'cause-
is, but the aero made a difference last year because of the big spoiler and everything going on. It's going away this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Well, it's being reduced, so it should
Yeah.
be better.
So that's my thing is like I'm really curious to see how this is going to affect Martinsville as opposed to Richmond. I feel like Richmond you got higher speeds. It's still a short track, but you know,
Rougher surface, you
yeah,
get more tire wear.
a little bit different. So I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, the Martinsville race last year for at least this one wasn't too bad. I didn't think it was as boring. Matt, you said it
No,
was
it
kind of boring.
was bad.
Like,
I remember it was the first one that I distinctly was like, wow, okay. This
I mean,
race did not hit.
The spring race has had that effect before,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean that's kind of when you're worried about points. You're trying to maximize your day. I think now this year, 7 different winners in 8 races. Like you can't you gotta win.
Yeah.
If you're in third, you gotta try to win.
yeah,
You know, I mean, if
Well,
there's a later caution, could go pretty wild.
could. Yeah, could be. So, all right. Well, that's pretty much all we've got to talk about. Unless you guys have anything you guys want to talk about real quickly before we go.
No, just closing thoughts in case you hadn't noticed. Nate disappeared. He was feeling under the weather, so he dipped out,
Yep.
went home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, all of a sudden just got
I was
up and left.
surprised he made it as far as he did, man. He didn't look good. He looked like he was feeling pretty rough.
Yeah,
so.
he did. So he'll be back. Don't
Must have
worry.
ate something.
Huh?
Must have ate something. I don't know.
I don't
He's
know.
the
Yeah,
dinner.
I don't know. I think he was mad. I think his drivers
Well,
didn't do well.
He was so
He has been up since 5:30.
That is
so.
true. That is true. Yeah,
gonna hang.
he was having a rough week with his drivers. So I think that was part
Tell
of
me
it.
it.
about it.
Blew a motor.
Huh?
Blew a motor.
Oh, he might have. I don't know.
Probably.
We
I don't know.
we cannot confirm or deny. We don't know. We were in here getting the thing set up. All right. So yeah. So anyway, if anyone's listening to the podcast, if you're still listening at this point, thank you so much for listening to us run on and on for over an hour. It's been fun. Check us out on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're all there. If you go on Twitter and you message us, we are pretty good at responding. We
It's
try
a
to
guarantee.
There's going to come a point where you're going to really be upset that you're saying that.
There will become a point where I will quit saying that.
But at this point, it is a guarantee.
It is a guarantee.
We will tweet you back. We'll definitely discuss you. Hit us up. We take questions on there. Ryan Kuzman hits us up all the time. If you got a question, something you want us to talk about, hit us up. We'll definitely throw it into the show because we love to hear what people are thinking out there.
Absolutely.
So, yep, definitely come check us out. So, all right, guys. Well, it's been fun, but obviously we got to hit the road. So, all right, take care. Take it easy, whatever. And we'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.
See
Deuces.
you.